Well, hello, everyone. Post Thanksgiving, we're back in the saddle again, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. This is Good Body, Good Brain podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sally, and today we have a really fun guest. She is Deb Krier. Yes, Deb Krier. Yes, she answers to both, though. And she has a unique sort of, I'll say niche in the world. She has multiple niches. First of all, she's an MBA. She's a business coach. She knows her stuff in terms of business. And she's also had her own sort of personal journey that I'll let you tell a little bit about. But we're going to talk about how your mind helps you have resilience and how resilience helps you to get through anything that gets thrown at you. So I am so happy to have you here, Deb. I am going to just let you just go and you just grab whatever you want to grab right now and take it away.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the honor of being on your podcast. We're going to have so much fun. It is a delight to get to know you. And I was having fun listening to some of your other podcasts. Whoa, such wonderful, powerful stories. So I love it. I love it. You know, my story is it's the little of this, little of that, right? I started my business 30 years ago or so, Wise Women Communications. Now, I'll be honest, we do have some men that work with us, because there are wise guys, right? We all know there's wise guys, but, it's a full service marketing firm. I tend to focus now on working with senior living communities, on showing that the residents are happy, healthy, and active, far from what we expect communities like that to be. But then, kind of got a little derailed about, in 2015, so 9.5-ish years ago, went for my annual mammogram, and they called and said, come back. Now, I've worked for an oncologist, and I worked for the American Cancer Society. So I knew that was not, you didn't smile pretty. It was, oops, there's a problem, right? And so went back and they diagnosed microcalcifications. I was like, what's it? And so I relied on Dr. Google to find out what they are. And folks, don't do that. Don't Dr. Google. But I discovered that women of a certain age, all women of a certain age have microcalcifications. Happens when the hormones change in our bodies. But the vast majority of time, there's no problems. But I am special. I am very special. And mine turned out to be cancerous. Now they diagnosed stage 0. And so that was cool. That means basically let's watch it and, not get too overexcited about things. But they, and so I did have a surgeon that I talked to. She did a couple biopsies. Those were negative. Didn't even have an oncologist for several months. And then we decided, let's pull some lymph nodes. And 8 of 12 lymph nodes were positive. So I went from stage 0 to stage 3, just poof, like literally. And so then got an oncologist, decided that, as part of this learning process, and I talk about this a lot, I fired that original doctor that I had. And there were just, she was a good doctor, but there were some things that I didn't like. And, one of the things that I really talk to people a lot about is that, especially for a long-term type of thing that this was going to be, us, the patient, the warrior, I'm a warrior. We are in charge, not our doctors, not our spouse, we are the people in charge. And I just didn't feel quite right with what she was doing. Fabulous doctor, but she and I just didn't click. But I had my first chemo. And chemo's hard on you. Chemo's really hard on you. You know that. But it darn near killed me. I ended up in septic shock, in and out of ICU and surgery in the hospital for 7 weeks. And I will have the after effects of septic shock for the rest of my life. It did in my kidneys. And so, but, it went merrily along. I decided to have a double mastectomy. And just because I didn't want to worry about the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I also chose not to do reconstructive surgery. I told him, I said, I'm old.
Okay.
Who needs
Yep.
those? But I do have prosthetics, and you will be delighted to know that my prosthetics are named because that's who I am, right? And so I have Lucy and Ethel and Thelma and Louise, right? So I did that, got a complication from that surgery that my surgeon had never seen. Sailed through radiation, and then started putting my life back together, and in and out of kind of some surgeries and a variety of things. But I have this fabulous business coach who several years ago told me, she said, you didn't go through everything you went through without using it to help others. And I think that's kind of the story of my life. My mother was one who was always giving. Lost her this March, and that was one of the things that people said was remembered how much she did for us through the years.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are like, but how are we surviving if we don't have her Christmas candy? So I guess I'm going to have to go into the make Christmas candy thing.
I think you
Take her
are.
place.
You are.
I know. But yeah. But I told Kathleen, my business coach, I said, I don't want to be cancer girl, and she said,
Right.
nah.
Right.
But we decided that I did need to start an initiative to help others going on this journey. And so
Mm-hmm.
we started tryingnottodie.LIVE. And it is all about how we, as the cancer warrior, how are we going to get through this? And how are the people who are going to support us, including our medical people, get through this?
Yes.
And how can they best support us? And I kind of joked about, being a warrior, but in the start of this, someone sent me this thing, and it said that fate says to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior responds, I
I
am
am
the storm. Right? But warriors are never alone. They always have a tribe. And so,
Yes.
excuse me, that's one of the things that I always tell people is don't go on this journey alone. You need to build your tribe around you. And it's your tribe that's going to support you. If they're not, wish them well, send them on their way. But it's all
See
about
you
how are
later.
we going to do that? Yeah. So yeah, we've been doing this for about 2.5 years of empowering people. And I'll be honest, it is primarily women, whether it's that they are the warrior or the caregiver. But it is all about we are our own advocates, and we absolutely have to be. And if for some reason we're not, that's okay. We might not be able to, but we need to have somebody who knows what we want.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's where that's so important. But yeah, so that's kind of my journey. It's been a little bumpy, a little rocky. I was sharing with you right before we started that I had surgery yesterday, and they removed finally, after 9 years, the port from my shoulder. So woohoo! We're really celebrating that
Yes.
one.
That's a big celebration, but not today.
That is. Not
A little
today.
bit later.
No wavy arms today.
Right.
But yeah, so that's kind of the story of my very detailed journey.
Well, you're certainly, I would say that working, nursing homes as a clinical psychologist for 20 years, we've seen all kind of neurodegenerative things. Of course, a lot of cancer people having to go through chemo, taking the little cancer, we call it the cancer pill, for a long time, and being really good survivors. That the bottom line, it could be heritage, it could be upbringing. The bottom line is what you tell yourself.
Right.
And how that translates in how you become resilient.
Right. And being resilient is what's key, in this world, right? Whether it's resilient in your business, resilient in your health, all of those things, because things happen, there are things that happen, and it's all about how are we going to learn from it and then go forward, right? We can't act like it didn't happen. We need to learn from whatever it was and then go forward.
Yes. And back in the day, I started out as a medical technologist. I worked in a hospital in a blood bank for about 10 years. Ooh. So I was around a lot of different kinds of illnesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the people I worked with, she had breast cancer. And what she said her doctor told her is a tumor is your body trying to protect you by creating a little element around something that could really, really hurt you, like
Okay.
those
Okay.
aberrant cancer cells.
Mhm.
So the tumor is almost like a fortress, and then sometimes cancer cells get very, very powerful, and they break open the tumor,
Right.
and that's when we've got trouble. We've
Mhm.
got trouble here. We've got
Right.
trouble here. I always thought about that. If we could get to the stage where we could find out where that little tiny piece of something is. My mom went in for a routine x-ray. She was having a hysterectomy. They found a tiny, tiny, tiny thing in her lung that they only had to do a lobectomy. She didn't do chemo or whatever. Lifelong smoker. Yeah,
Right.
lucky strikes.
Right.
And so they found it, and she was fine. She was fine. She lived a whole happy life after that. But if we could just find those beginning pieces,
Right.
but sometimes there's like say with pancreatic cancer, there is hardly any signs or symptoms.
There's no symptoms. Right.
No,
Right.
no. But the resilience and what people say to themselves in here translates again to every arena that we live in, whether it's business, family, home. We tell our kids when they get a sniffles, you're strong, your immune system's strong. A day or two, you'll be just fine to go back to school. I have parents that say, honey, you're sick. You've got to go to bed.
Dear. Oh, dear.
We don't want you to, spreading this to the other kids in the household. We're going to put you in your room, and you get to stay in there for, until you get well. The total difference in what the kid perceives about themselves and how they grow up with that perception is amazing.
Oh, it is. And do I know that my technical diagnosis is stage 4 triple positive metastatic breast cancer. Stage 4 is not considered curable. So there's that elephant that's back there all the time. And I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. And I've had 2 other cancer diagnoses. I had a basal cell carcinoma, freckly redhead, right? And then last year I had thyroid cancer. And so I had my thyroid removed. And it was a totally new cancer. So I have had 3 separate cancers. And each time I've been like, well, bad word, insert bad word here. And then I go on, right? And it really is in your mental attitude. And it could be that it's not a long period of time, but how are you going to live during that period of time? Are you, and people tell me, oh, you're so positive. Yes, I'm very positive. I am like this all the time. I've only had 1 cup of coffee today. I'm just like this. I mean, I just, go zippy zinging through life. Do I have bad times? Yes. I have pity parties. I have the, oh, woe is me. And that's natural. That's normal. And we need to give ourselves the grace to feel that, because it is a type of grief, right? My life changed and, went in a different direction from what I'd ever intended. But, then the thing is to go, okay, I'm done with the pity party. And sometimes, the pity party needs a little alcohol, right? Or, a little funny movie, whatever, to get out of it. But it's, you go on. Now here's the funny thing. I had somebody last week who told me that I was too positive, and so I was not being truthful with people. And I decided she wasn't my people.
I hope she wasn't in your tribe already and you had to remove her. But
she's not. She's not your tribe. But yeah, it was like, if somebody asks me the gloom and doom, I will tell them the gloom and doom. I mean, there were times where, yeah, horrible, awful, nasty. And I tell people I'm real tired today, or today is just not a good day, whatever. I mean, I will tell people the truth, but I'm also not going to wallow in being down there. And again, it's like that with anything. Not to get political, but the people who are still very, very upset about the election, I tell them, okay, what are you going to do about it? It's okay that you were angry and that you didn't like the results, but now what?
Now what?
And yeah, and that's the thing, is feel those emotions, acknowledge
Mhm,
those emotions, and
mhm.
then take those next steps.
Yes, and what and getting involved. Like, so many
Right.
people just like, point and say, oh,
Mhm,
so and so. I said, no,
mhm,
you have to
mhm.
actually get involved
Right.
in your
Mhm,
local
mhm,
chapter. And
mhm,
then you
mhm,
have to find out what
mhm.
people are really
Right.
about and who
Mhm,
are you going to support for, like,
right.
head
Mhm,
of the school
mhm,
board
mhm.
and
Right.
et cetera,
Yeah, because it
because the ladder
starts at the
is
bottom.
so. Exactly. I lived
Mhm,
in Hawaii for 20 years and we had a
mhm,
mayor who was
mhm,
female.
mhm,
She was she was Caucasian. She
mhm.
was also
Ooh,
Jewish,
in
and
Hawaii.
this is in a traditional
Mhm,
Hawaiian
mhm, mhm,
kind of thing.
mhm,
She ran for governor.
mhm,
She lost to
mhm,
the incumbent, and
mhm,
he was a Japanese person,
mhm,
and
mhm,
he was old school, good old
mhm,
boy kind of
mhm,
thing.
mhm.
So she became head of the party. And
Ah,
you know how that goes. She became head
right.
of the party. She
Mhm,
got to know everybody. She
mhm,
ran again and she
mhm.
won. The first
Perfect.
female
Mhm.
governor of Hawaii who was
Wow.
a
Mhm,
I
mhm,
mean, she was born and raised there,
mhm,
but she was still as white as,
mhm,
I would
mhm.
say, as you are, because
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
tan.
I'm pretty white bread. Yeah, yeah. Um, and in business, it's about
Yes,
how are we
same.
being mentors to other
Yes.
women? How, and let's not exclude the men, because
No.
we want them to be, the best they can be also. But how can we be
Yes.
mentors to young women?
Yes.
How can we help them see,
Mhm.
here's
Mhm.
what I can be doing, and we just had small business day or whatever those various things are,
Yes. Yes.
and how can we support small businesses that are owned by women, when we
Mhm.
have a choice, how can we support them, and even if you're not going to buy their product or service, how can you promote them to
Tell
your friends?
somebody.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah,
somebody.
and so it's all about, it's the sinking ship, right? The rising tide rises everything. And so how can
Mhm.
we help other women to become powerful, strong women?
Yes, and you've hit on what I officially labeled this a movement
Okay.
because the last 3 or 4 months,
Mhm,
um, you can remember the day when, like, it was like women were going to be equals and blah blah blah,
mhm. Oh
and
yeah.
we
Yep.
had all the
Mhm,
Gloria for Dans, and we had all the other things going
mhm.
on, and
People
the
burn their
National
bras.
Association of Women. We had all that kind of stuff going on,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I was raised by two entrepreneurs who never worked for anybody else, and I worked in
Mhm,
their businesses growing up.
mhm,
So I found out right
mhm,
away that the way you can make money just the same as
mhm,
anybody else is,
mhm,
first of all, you have a good product and you
mhm.
have a good
Right.
solution,
Mhm, mhm,
and you just let people know about it, and
mhm.
they come. You have a good
Right.
product, they'll
Mhm,
come to you.
mhm,
And so I learned that pretty early on.
mhm,
So when
mhm.
women were getting all upset and all hoo-hoo about, like, I can't make a living and whatever, I said, "Hey, become an entrepreneur,
Right.
become
Mhm,
a solopreneur."
mhm,
You know,
mhm,
even being a clinical psychologist, even though I worked for an entity, I was really
mhm,
running my own
mhm,
sort of
mhm.
self. I could
Right.
press the
Mhm,
lever of more
mhm,
clients or less
mhm,
clients. I could press
mhm,
when I saw them, what
mhm,
time we spent, all those
mhm.
kinds of
Right.
things. So
Mhm,
you're really running your own life. But
mhm,
now here's what's happening. As I'm adventuring, I've done like a little pivot thing
mhm.
of I want to make 100 women millionaires, and I'm going to
Ooh.
do it.
Mhm,
Yes. And I'm going to do it by helping them get out of their own
mhm,
way.
mhm,
And I'm going to help them make their business plan
mhm,
be more elegant and
mhm,
streamlined. We're
mhm,
going to build foundationally from the ground up.
mhm,
And I'm like a Sherpa. I'm going to take them up to the first little base camp
mhm,
underneath Everest. And
mhm,
we're going to get up there and we're going
mhm,
to say, hey, how does this $100,000 feel
mhm,
to you that you've
mhm.
just made in
Right.
sales?
Yeah,
And they're
because you
going to
don't
say,
just get to the top of Everest.
right, right.
Mhm,
This is pretty darn good.
mhm,
So I said,
mhm,
okay, well, we've got another base camp up here.
mhm,
This one's around
mhm,
250. and just stay within the lines. Don't stop over too much. I've got these wonderfully curated wise women that if whenever we feel like we're getting a little stuck, we're going to bring them in and they're going to unstuck us and we're going to get up that thing. And
I love it.
$1 million. We're going to reach that $1 million and we might even reach 10 million because to me, $1 million doesn't sound very much anymore.
Right.
So there's women rising, women who've been in business for a while and saying, hey, I've been going this alone and it's a lonely journey.
Right.
And we all need a tribe. We all need people to feedback. We all need people to support us. We all need people to get us out of our own pity party, when something doesn't quite work and say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's figure this out. And so this is the movement I'm seeing, women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 70s. I even had a client that was in their 80s.
Oh, I love it.
They want to make something called impact.
And
you make impact with money. You give it to people that you adore, who make the best websites, who do the best branding, who do the best PR for you. You want to spread the wealth so that everybody else rises up with you.
Right. And now is the perfect time, and because I think we're seeing that upswell, little politics, obviously, it's going to be wide open in 4 years. And, but, what are we going to do? How are we going to get, whether it's a business person, whoever, how are we going to get them there? And I love that you do it in steps, because we don't just jump, right? Unless we play the lotto and, then, and I don't. So, but it is about getting those right people around you. I talk with a lot of small business owners. I do have my own podcast, and I've done over 1,000 episodes. So I talked with a lot of people about how to do this. And it's, one of the things that we talk a lot about is that when someone starts their business, male or female, they think, I have to know it all. I'm in charge. Well, no, you're not going to know tax code. You don't know the legalities. You don't know marketing, all of those things. It's all about how do you build those teams? And sure, it's a little bit of a challenge to start, but that's where having a tribe and mutually supporting each other's comes in.
And you have fractional people. You have somebody come in who does this for you for a little bit, and then they move over, and then someone else comes in and does this for you a little bit. But I think the foundation of every good business starts with interpersonal relationships, having JV partners, having people that know about you, and you declaring that intention of this is what I'm going to do. Are you with me? You want to be in my pride? You want to be in my dolphin pod? Let's do this together and let's win together.
Right. Yeah, because it is about, when we're successful and others are successful, everybody rises. I hate the notion of competition. That just, I've been known to refer more potential clients to somebody else than to actually take them. And, people are always really curious about that. And it's because when I look at them, I think they're just not a good fit for whatever reason. But, I know somebody that they would be a good fit for. So I say, hey, why don't you call this person? And so then I'm happy because I wasn't working on something that I wasn't going to do 100% on. The client is happy because they now have somebody who is giving them good service. And then, of course, the other person that I referred to is happy that I referred to them. So it was a win-win-win. And it's about how do we do that? Now, sometimes, right, as a small business, you do take clients that you don't always love. But as soon as you can send them on their way, we do. But if you can refer them to somebody else, that's where it's so powerful. We have to stop thinking we're in competition with everybody.
Yes. And we have to stop thinking that if we raise our rates, that we're going to lose clients, because if we have relationships with them, they all know what the price is of whatever's happening. They know they're not going to disappear. And if they do, they're not going to support us anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So
And
earn what
charge
you're
what you're
worth.
worth, women.
Charge what you're worth. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's funny. Years ago, I worked for an agency, and I remember one of the things that they told me, we never published our prices. We never did, and it was
No.
marketing
No.
and PR agency, and the owner said, charge what the market will bear. And I always found that very interesting because he said, if your client is a nonprofit, they're not going to be able to pay as much. So, you just know that. But if you're, working with, say, lawyers, doctors, people who are used to themselves charging a lot, then, you charge them more, because if you don't, they don't value you.
They don't value
And,
you.
and so if you charge them, say, $50 an hour, then they're like, eh. And 50 sounds like a lot, right? And I'll be honest, 50 sounds like a lot for people. But could you charge 200 and have them go, okay, that's a reasonable number. And it's, especially when you're starting out, how do you pick those pricing? Really scary, right? But yeah, we're worth it. We are worth it.
Yes. And one of the things that I do in my program is called strategic risk reversal.
Ooh.
Okay. So there is a buy-in to get into the program. The program lasts actually 2 years. If you become a millionaire before the end of 2 years, you're still in my mastermind. You're still part of
helping others.
And we're going to help lift up other people. But the 87% of what the fee would be is, you only pay me when you make that in sales.
And
we
I love that. It's incentive.
It's totally incentive, because I want you to make sales, so then you can end up paying me, right? So if I take on that burden of like the 87% of like a 2-year program, then I'm going to get everybody with you. Right. And my philosophy is, I will never give up on you, even if when you give up on you.
Right.
I'm going to be your container. I'm going to hold you steady until you get your footing again. And if that means I have to support you by financing you, I'll do it. Because nobody that's going to come into this program isn't going to be my right fit client.
Right. And so you're happy to support them.
Yes, they're going to be somebody that I admire and like and want to be successful. And everybody around me also is going to be the same.
Right.
So as we talked about those little sharks, we're not going to let those sharks in our waters.
No.
They can just swim right away.
Yeah, there's other fish they can go gobble on.
Yes, not us. Because we're going to have fun.
Well, and of course with dolphins, it's all about how they circle and they protect, right? And somebody wanders off, they bring them back. And that's, I love that concept.
Yes, and sometimes people say, well, God, that sounds awful wonky. Like, how are you going to make any money? I said, well, you do make money because you have the right people in place to create the right systems for your people. Like, we're not like pulling things out of the air. We're using tried and true business principles to get people in different places. And everybody has a different kind of business. Anybody from an empath. I heard a really great story the other day of a tarot card reader who taught tarot card reading only to nurses and was making 10 million a year. I'm going like,
whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, when you find that niche, that's what you want to go for. And it's scary, right? Because people want to market to everybody. Well, everybody's not your client.
No.
And I've shared this story with people on my podcast that I was in a marketing thing one time, and you had to give your 30-second spiel, right?
Yeah. Your infomercial.
Yes. She sold skincare products. And so she said, my product is for everyone because we all have skin, right? But none of us could think of who to refer to her. It was the funniest thing. And so we worked with her, and she decided that her niche, I love those words, right? Was 16, she got really specific, 16-year-old boys with acne.
That's a big
every
market.
person you talk to knew a 16-year-old with acne, right? And so then we could refer. Now, would she work with a 35-year-old woman who had acne? Oh, sure. There's and all of those things. But when she found that niche, then everybody knew who a good potential client was for her.
Yes.
And so, we're never selling to everybody. Walmart doesn't sell to everybody. Mercedes-Benz certainly doesn't sell to everybody. Everybody knows who they should be working with. Even Starbucks. My husband does not like Starbucks. He does not like fancy frou-frou coffee. I like fancy frou-frou coffee. But yeah, he's not going to go in and pay $3 for a plain
$3. We're talking 12.
This is true. I know. But yeah, and so find your niche and go for it. And then you can expand. I mean, your 16-year-old boys can be 16. You could add 16-year-old girls, whatever it is, but find that sweet spot and work with them.
Yes. And when you start talking to someone, like within the first 5 or 6 minutes, and they're telling you what they have accomplished so far, and you can see their zone of genius, and you can see that they can excel 10 times what they're doing now, with just some tweaks, just some mindset shifts, and with women, and like you as a podcaster, I've interviewed women who have their own podcast, who have their own books, who have their own speaking gigs, who have this, but they haven't made a uniform message so that when somebody says, I need to talk to somebody about this, they're the this. They haven't created that message yet. There's a couple of people on the internet who says, own one word. Doesn't have to be a fancy word. There's one guy I know who owns a word, and he owns systems. He said, everything that I do is created out of systems. Whether I'm hiring someone, I've got an SOP set up for it. Whether it's this or whatever, it's a system. That's me. When people come to me, they're looking for systems. So when we figure out what that word is for us, and my word is impact.
Okay.
Because there's nothing more pathetic than a broke philanthropist. If you don't have the money to give away to the charities or whatever that are dear to your heart, and then when you decide, yes, I am going to make money so I can give it away, I call it do good to do good.
Right.
That when you decide you can do that, because my personal interest is rescue dogs. I have 6 of those little guys running around. Everything from the Great Pyrenees to a Boston Terrier.
Oh my gosh. Every size. Holy schmoly.
Every size, every shape, every whatever, every personality. So would I have more? Yes, I would have more, but I would hire someone to come in and do the mundane. Well, I just get to enjoy them, right?
Yep.
So that's a part of business too. Get rid of the mundane, know your zone of genius, know what you're really good at, and let's just take that and make it fly.
Right. Yeah, I think that's why so many businesses shut down, is you started your business because you had this passion. And then you got caught up in the mundane, oh God, I have to do invoicing today. Oh, I have to hire somebody. Oh, I have to, and then it's not fun, right? Your passion died. And so that's where, whether it's that you're working with a team of, people you've hired, or your fractional, whoever it is. And, as soon as you can get rid of those things you don't love, get rid of those. And, I'm really looking for, I'm going to be exploring AI a lot in the coming year to see what things I can have AI do that I just don't like doing, to free me up to do whatever else it is that I want to do.
Oh, AI, if you create a really good prompt, like you really have to describe yourself fully, who you are, what you want, and what you want AI to do for you, it's really quite amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If you have a chance to listen to the president of Google, he is an Indian person, and his first name is M-O, it's either MO or MOW, and I will butcher his last name, so I'm not going to attempt it. He
But
says,
he's the
in the
president
age
of
of,
Google, so we should be able to find him.
yeah, in the age of AI, we need three things. First of all, we need to learn AI. We need to learn how to make it work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, we need to also recognize when AI is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
AI can go delusional and paranoid. It can lie to you. It thinks it's giving you the right information. It's trying its best,
Because
but
it's
it's not.
pulling from what content's out there. And if incorrect
Exactly.
content is out there, it doesn't go,
Right.
oh, that doesn't sound right. It just says, here it is.
The third thing is cultivate good relationships with authenticity, because AI can't do that.
Right.
And honestly, I don't think AI will ever be able, AI can tell a joke, but it can't laugh at its own humor. It doesn't know those things. Oh, if we get to the point where we have biochemical things that are also robots that also can do things, but we won't be around for that. Our children won't be either, and I'm hoping our grandchildren won't be either. But right now, creating those authentic relationships with other humans is the glue that helps us keep on going and having fun.
And that's why AI won't replace us, as you said. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and so of course the character Data, his biggest dream is to be more human, right? To feel, to be able to laugh and not just go ha 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 ha, right? To have a real laugh, a belly laugh, and or to know, when someone feels bad. How do you have empathy? I mean, those are very human characteristics that I don't think AI is ever going to be able to do. And maybe someday, but so far off that, we'll just be little ghosty people floating around.
Yes, I did speak to a owner of a company who was in Pakistan, and he creates apps. And one of the apps he was creating was Best Buddy. And it's for kids who are on the internet and they're getting bullied.
Oh.
So they log into Best Buddy, and Best Buddy is an AI partner that tells them good things about themselves. I mean, it's not like it's not like a fraudulent kind of like, you are very nice, you are good to other people.
You are a good person.
Real interactive kind of thing. And of course, kids are so receptive to this now because they were born practically.
They were raised on it, right?
The chip in their mouth, right? So they're used to it, and they're trying to counteract the poor mental health that's happening on social media. I don't know if you heard the news yesterday, but Australia just banned social media
I
for
saw
anyone
that.
under the age of 16. Hello. How are they going to enforce that one?
Yeah, because you can put in there, my birth date is, and
But because we have this thing called the Constitution, I doubt we'll ever be able to do that. So it's up to parents to be parents and actually parent people.
Yes. Yeah. And I love the schools that are, putting, and we have some here in the Atlanta area where every day child arrives, and this is, I think they're testing it in middle school right now, because I think that's one of the areas where they have the biggest issue. When child arrives, their phone goes in a pouch, is locked away, and they get it back at the end of the day. And obviously there's emergencies, but we survived before we had these phones.
The parents can call the school if there's an emergency. So-and-so's got to go see Granny because she's not doing well.
Right. Or you say, I got to have, you've got the note from home, so-and-so is having surgery today, so child needs the phone for an update. Okay, then it goes at the teacher's desk, and the teacher pays attention when somebody texts or, whatever, and says, grandma's out of surgery. But yeah, you and I remember when we did not have these things attached to our hips or our hands, and we survived perfectly well.
Yes. The first phone I ever got that wasn't a landline was in my car, and it plugged into
plugged in, yes.
And it had a cord. And it was about it looked like it was about 1.5 feet big, and you put it up to your ear, and I am so cool. I've got a phone in my car now. I am really cool.
I had one of the bricks, one of the first phones, because it was about the size of a brick, right? And you certainly didn't have long conversation because they weighed a ton. And it's been interesting to see how technology has evolved. And when I have to go without my phone, like yesterday, I'm getting prepped for surgery. I'm like, no, I need my phone. And she looked at me. I'm like, and so but yeah, we can survive perfectly well. I saw somebody the other day. They posted that they take the entire month of December with no social. I don't know about that because I love seeing all the holiday stuff, right? And getting those well wishes. But it wouldn't hurt us to go without. And on the same thing, any country, entity, whatever, alien, wants to take this place down, all they have to do is turn off cells, right? If we couldn't, if we had no cell service, we wouldn't know what to do. Turn a TV on. Radio. I heard cars are now being made without AM radios. I grew up on AM radio. That was what we listened to. And and we call in and request songs, and then we'd wait, right? Until they played it. Life was simpler and in a lot of ways a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do, as a prescription for some of my folks, I ask them to take a technology holiday. You start with an hour. If you can't stay off your phone or technology for an hour, you have a problem.
Right.
And this problem is called dopamine.
Right. Because you're waiting for that ding, that ping, that whatever. And
we want that feeling. It feels so good when somebody likes us.
Yeah. And when they don't, we're like, I posted and nobody responded. Whatever. Yeah.
Right. Who cares? See, that's my new mantra. Like we do, you do a lot of video. I do a lot of video. I have clients who like, oh, I can't stand being on video. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I talk. I said, you're the only you there is. How can you compare yourself to other people? There is nobody to compare you with. You are it. You are it. So I don't care if I'm older, wrinkly, or anything. I have a message. And people either hear the message or not.
Right.
And
they're either your people or they're not your people.
Exactly. So we have to get over ourselves. Like all the people, oh, I can't dance now. People will look at me. Are you kidding? Nobody even knows you exist. Just get out there and dance. Even if you dance like a cuckoo bird, doesn't matter because people are in their own little narcissistic world. They don't care about you.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. They're so wrapped up in what they're doing that they're not going to dance either. Well, too bad. And it was funny, during surgery, it was very strange. I was awake during the surgery yesterday and jibber jabbering like I normally do. And they had Christmas music playing and the Charlie Brown song came on, the da 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 da. And I'm like, everybody dance, and you can see my toes. And I don't know if they danced or not, but I hope they did.
I'm sure somebody did. Somebody in the like maybe behind you, they couldn't see you, and they're doing the thing, right?
Yeah, and maybe if it was just a little head bob, right? That's okay. That's okay.
Levity, lightening the load of other people.
Yes.
And yes.
Oh, yes. I tell people, because they always, what's your name and date of birth, right? That's first thing any medical person asks you. And so I tell them, but then I say, but you may refer to me as Anastasia Beaverhausen. And I don't know where I came up with that. I have no idea where that name came from. And now obviously it depends on what I'm doing as to whether I do this, when we have to be very serious and all that. But, but in my infusion room, because I go in for treatment, I still do every 21 days. And they have decided that it's not Anastasia, it's Princess Anastasia Beaverhausen. And so, and I got the queen wave down, right? So I told them yesterday as they were prepping me for surgery. And so the nurse in charge was so funny when the doctor came in, she said, now this is Deb Krier. She's in here for this, yada, yada, yada. Oh, her name is Anastasia Beaverhausen. And he went, what? And I said, did we make you laugh? And he said, yeah. I said, that's the point.
That's the point. And if I could tell one message to anybody during this holiday season, when you run across somebody who's just grumpy, irritable, not a very
Grinch.
nice person, cuts in line,
Mhm.
not smiley, not anything. You can do this in a small town. I'm not so sure about
Mhm.
Atlanta. Something bad might happen to you, but
Yeah.
you have to be very
People are
selective.
armed down here.
Yes, well, I'm in Texas. We're
Oh, so
all
they're armed.
armed.
They're more armed there. Mhm.
Well, we're very polite with our
Mhm.
arms. We're
Mhm.
we all know there's a potential,
Mhm. Mhm.
So just give them some grace because
Right.
you don't know
You
what
don't
happened to
know.
them this morning or
Mhm.
yesterday.
Right.
Or I talked
Mhm.
to a client
Mhm.
yesterday who her husband was laid off on December the 24th
Yikes.
of last year.
Mhm.
And they had just signed the papers for a brand new car.
Oh, of course.
And she says, but I've got my job.
Mhm.
January the 1st,
Mhm.
she was laid off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So being a person who likes to pay their bills on
Mhm.
time and not get behind with their
Mhm.
credit
Mhm.
and so,
Mhm.
they felt like they were drowning.
Mhm. Mhm. I
They
bet.
they
Mhm.
they pulled together some support with their
Mhm.
families. They
Mhm.
really they chopped
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
No Netflix, no blah blah
Mhm.
blah. All those little
Mhm.
gremlins in your bank account that eats
Mhm.
up your money that you're not even
Mhm.
aware of.
Mhm.
They chopped
Mhm.
everything down, and they're now beginning to see the light at the end of the forest. Their
Lovely.
credit is
Mhm.
in the tank. They've gone from
Mhm.
almost eight
Yeah.
something to like six something something
Oh,
something.
oh. Mhm.
But
Mhm.
they survived.
Mhm. Right.
They
Right.
survived by
Mhm.
being creative,
Mhm. Mhm.
teaching their
Mhm.
children to
Mhm.
be
Mhm.
frugal,
Mhm.
and they will rise up
Mhm.
because
Right.
he got a
Mhm.
really good
Mhm.
job, and she's
Mhm.
gonna get another one this
Ah.
incoming
Mhm.
year.
Mhm.
They will rise back
Mhm.
up.
Mhm.
But we go through these ups and downs in
Yeah.
life, and the
Mhm.
true nature of character is
Mhm.
how you
Mhm.
survive it.
Right. Right. And so give those people grace, smile
Mhm.
at them, let them cut
Yes.
in line.
Yes.
And because you don't know. There might be something horrible. Now they could just be a Grinch. Sometimes people are just like that. But
Right.
but maybe they had something really and you might be the only person who smiles at them all day. So maybe
Mhm.
that's the thing to do.
Yes, there's a couple of times, and again, you can do this in a small town. We have a couple of folks who live in different little projects, and they walk to get their groceries,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they're elderly,
Mhm.
and they're not always remembering everything like
Mhm.
they used
Mhm.
to, and
Right.
they get in line, and they don't have either the right card
Mhm.
with the right amount of money on
Mhm.
it, or they don't have any
Mhm.
cash, and
Right.
they're fumbling and they're trying very
Mhm.
hard to make things work, but
Mhm.
things aren't working. The
Mhm.
cashier is getting upset. There's 10 people behind you,
Mhm.
and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Mhm.
sneakily, I
Mhm.
have taken a card and passed it over to the
Mhm.
cashier,
Mhm.
and he swipes it without the other person
Right.
knowing.
Mhm.
And then they give me my card back, and
Right.
they say to the person, "Hey, we
Ah.
finally got to work.
Mhm.
You're okay now."
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Yeah, because
I
you
don't,
don't want to they have
no,
their dignity, right?
yes,
And
I
so,
don't,
yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I've done that where I've got their attention and said, "I'll cover it."
mhm,
But sometimes I've done it where they've known and I've said, "Please," because they're very grateful, right? I'm very embarrassed and I say, "No, no. This is a present to you, and
from
when you
me,
can, you pay it forward."
yes.
And that usually works.
Mhm,
But yeah, or maybe they've got the fussy baby in their cart. Make faces at the fussy baby. See if you can get the fussy baby to giggle. All of those things.
mhm,
There's little things that we can do to brighten
mhm,
somebody's day.
yes.
And, we should,
Yeah,
like you said, have our own narcissistic world and
mhm,
help somebody else.
yes. And in nursing homes, people like, and I'm loving that you're doing this PR for nursing homes
Mhm,
because,
mhm.
if I could tell people what would the world be if we didn't have nursing homes?
Right. Mhm,
Where would these people
mhm,
go? Where
mhm,
would they get help?
mhm.
especially if they've outlived their families. I know people in their hundreds, they've outlived every child.
They've outlived several generations.
Exactly. And they say sort of the same thing. Oh, I'm here. I'm in a wheelchair. I can barely get around. I can't even get to the bathroom by myself. What the heck? How can I do anything for anybody? And I say, can you smile?
Right.
And they say, well, of course I can smile. Well, go give away about 10 of those today and see what happens.
And then say thank you. Be respectful, be polite, all of those things.
Especially when somebody is your caregiver, they're being paid to help you.
Yes.
But you show no gratitude.
Right. Yeah. I went back yesterday to tell somebody thank you, and it startled her. And I said, I'm sorry, I should have said it when I left. And she's like, well, that's all right. This is my job. I don't care. I can still say thank you. It's not just it is their job, but we can be grateful. And even when things don't go the right way, they didn't mean for it to happen, right? So we can still be grateful to them. And I tell people, our caregivers are truly our superheroes, right?
So we need to thank them. Yes. And actually, that is the sort of in my foreword in my book of using gentle lifestyle changes to prevent dementia. This is a plug. It's on Amazon. If you got Kindle, it's free. And if you actually follow what I suggest.
What was it again? What was the name again?
Preventing Dementia with Gentle Lifestyle Changes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I tell people, like, yes, the social aspect of your life is almost a preventative for really bad neurodegenerative changes. Because when you live by yourself, you don't talk to people, and you get in a rut, your brain gets in a rut too. And it doesn't expand. It doesn't learn. It craves learning. If there's a key to living a long time, it's learning something new.
Right. Yep. Every day. And it can be something little, right?
It can be something little, and it can be something you can share with somebody who says, like, oh, I didn't know that.
I love it.
Well, Miss Deb, I'm officially welcoming you into my dolphin pod.
And you can be in my tribe.
Yes. And we can keep this dialogue going and going because we both connected through someone else who's very special.
Oh, we love Noemi.
Cyprus.
Oh, yay, Noemi.
Yes. And did you listen to her podcast?
I have not, but I need to, because Noemi is truly a very special person. So we want to definitely give a shout out to her.
Yes. And she connects people, and she has a partner, and she's been doing this for a while. She's also a very good artist.
Yes.
And I have encouraged her to like, hey, put this on your website. People might want you to do something for them. Maybe you get commissioned to do something. But anyway, special people tend to pull in more special people. See how that works? We get this network flowing. We get it going. We get this empowered bunch of women, and we find people we can support to do the things that we want done in the world.
Yep. I love it.
Because impact goes with legacy. How do you want the world to remember you? How do you want your children, your relatives, your tribe to remember you? What did you do to uplift all those other boats and dolphins that are around you?
Yep. I love it. You are truly a wise woman.
Well, thank you so much. And I have adored being with you for this little short period of time. And I'm going to make a bet that sometime in the not too distant future, we'll probably be talking more about some other kind of stuff.
I bet. And would love to have you on my podcast. So folks, stay tuned for that.
Thank you. And I know you're going to have a wonderful holiday season. And I am so looking forward to 2025. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
We're going to fly to the moon.
We are. It's going to be fabulous.
It's going to be fabulous.
Mhm.
So again, listeners, please press the follow button. Also press subscribe so we can keep bringing you these fantastic podcasts, Good Body, Good Brain, and these fantastic guests to you weekly. So tune in, enjoy what you've heard today. And if you know somebody who might really learn something or be inspired by Miss Deb, who is certainly an inspiring person, send them over our way. And again, thank you so much, my dear. And you have a lovely rest of the day. And I can't wait to speak to you in the future.
I love it. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later.